Hello, beautiful soulmates. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful boo boo dress with elastic sleeves and an inner belt. This is what it looks like. I'll be using 3 yards of vintage crepe fabric. As you can see, I have it on fold. I first of all divided it into two, which is 1.5 yard on each side, and then I folded it into four. So we have two fabrics here, back wrong sides facing each other, folded into four. I also have my tape, ruler, and my tailor's chalk. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to rule my starting line, a straight line at the top of the fabric. That's going to be where we're taking all our measurements from. Now I'm going to mark our neckline. For the neckline width, I'm using 4 inches, and then for the depth I'm going to be using 3 inches for the depth, and I'm going to connect that with a curve. I'm using my free hand for this, but if you have a curved ruler, there is no problem at all. I made a curve there, and now from the center point I'm going to mark 25 inches along that same straight line. I'm marking 25 inches from the center, and then from that 25-inch mark I'm going to go down by 12 inches. This is going to be our sleeve opening. 12 inches for the sleeve opening, mark it there, and then I'm going to also use my ruler to make the straight line at that point. We're connecting our 25-inch mark at the shoulder down to the 12 inches mark, which is the sleeve. And then on the body of this boo dress I'm going to be marking 18 inches because it's a free gown. Is not supposed to be tight. And don't forget, we're also going to add a belt. Now I'm connecting the 12-inch sleeve points down to the 18 inches mark on my boo dress with a nice curve. Just curve it from the 12 inches down to the 18 inches mark. And so we're going to mark this same 18 inches all the way down to the end of the gown and connect the lines. Next thing we're going to cut, I'm cutting out the neck curve. Cut it out with your scissors, and we're also going to cut the shoulder slants where we marked on the shoulder. Cut that as well. Cut the sleeve opening, the 12 inches mark for the sleeve opening, and we're also going to cut the body, which is the 18 inches that we have marked all around to the bottom of this dress. Yes, so yeah, I'm cutting down that 18 inches mark all the way to the bottom of the gown. Okay, yes, cut it straight to the end of the outfit. Now we're going to be cutting the belt that we're using for the inner belt. So I'm marking 22 inches on fold. I folded these pieces, so I'm marking 22 inches for the width, for the length, I mean 22 inches for the length, and then the width is 2 inches. It's 2 inches wide by 22 inches long. Don't forget the 22 inches is on fold, so by the time you remove it, it will be 44 inches long. That way you can go around your waist and you can tie it at the back. So now I'm cutting the strip of fabric, 2 inches wide by 44 inches long, and then we're going to fold this strip of fabric. We're folding it first into two, and then we'll fold again so it can be tiny just like that. And we're going to run a straight stitch from the beginning to the end of this strip. Next, as you can see, we have our neckline. We're going to join the shoulder of this boo. So we're going to turn this back so the right sides are facing each other because we're stitching it from the inside. So the right sides have to face each other, and then we're going to run a stitch from the shoulder point at the neckline, down to the sleeve opening with half an inch. I'm sewing with half an inch stitching allowance from the shoulder to the sleeve opening. So just run a straight stitch right there, as you can see me doing right now. Half inch stitch allowance, run it straight to the end. Okay. Don't forget to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Now at the end of the sleeve we're going to make a double fold because we're about to add our elastic casing. So you fold it once and then you fold again and run a straight stitch down that sleeve opening. Make sure your fold is wide enough to contain the elastic you are going to be using. I'm using a 1 centimeter wide elastic, which is a tiny elastic. If you have the wider size of the elastic, it's fine. Just make sure that the sleeve, the casing, which is the casing on the sleeve for your elastic, is wide enough. Now this is the elastic I'm going to be using. We're going to measure 10 inches long for the elastic. We're cutting 2 for both sleeves, 10 inches. Next, we're going to grab our safety pin and attach it to the end of one of the elastic, and then we're going to feed it into the casing that we have created already. So just pass the elastic through that casing. When you get to one end of the casing, we're going to run a stitch, multiple stitches at that end to secure the elastic and make sure that it doesn't pull out when you're wearing this outfit. And then we're going to also feed in the remaining part of the elastic through that casing to the other end and do the same thing. Run multiple stitches at that end to secure your elastic and make sure that it will not come apart. Okay. Alright, next up we're going to be turning in our neckline. So this is the neckline we already joined at the shoulder, and now I'm going to make a double fold. You can always weave it. You can use, if you have a weaving machine, you can weave it before you fold, but I prefer this double fold because it's neater. So create the double fold and then run a stitch around from one end of the neckline to the other. After that, we are going to join the sleeve together and run a stitch from that sleeve end down to the sides and to the end of this gown. Yes, from the sleeve ends to the sides and then to the end of the dress. I'm using 1 inch sewing allowance for this because I'm going to weave the sides as well, so we need that extra allowance at the sides. Now we're going to attach our belts, the inner belt that we're going to tie on this dress. And the first thing I'm doing is to mark the midpoint of the dress. So I'm measuring from one side to the other end, checking how many I have there. And then I'm going to mark the middle. The middle is 18 inches. So I'm going to mark 18 inches, which is the midpoint from one end to another. Next thing I'm going to mark is my shoulder to waist point, because the belt is going to be on the waistline. So shoulder to waist is 17 inches. I'm going to mark that on both sides, 17 inches. And then from that midpoint, we're going to mark quarter of our waist measurement. Now, my waist measurement is the waist measurement we're working with is 40 divided by 4 is 10. I'm going to divide that 10 into 2. So on one end, I'm marking 5 inches from the midpoint, 5 inches, and from the other end, I'll mark another 5 inches. That way, the bubble gown will definitely go around the waistline. So 5 inches on both sides. That's making it 10. Next thing we're going to do is to attach the belts, the two belts that we um joined at the beginning of this tutorial. We're going to attach the belts to those points. The 5-inch mark, we're attaching the first belt on the left hand side. You just have to pin it down at that point, pin it down, and we're going to run a stitch right on the belt, multiple stitches on that point, so that the belt stays in place. Okay, that's for the first belt, and I'm also going to do the same thing for the second side. Just attach the belt at that point we marked. So when after attaching the belt, this is what we have. As you can see, I tied the inner belt, and this is our end result. You can rock this with or without tying the inner belt. You can loosen the belt and it will just be a free dress. You can spot the elastic on the sleeve. Thanks for watching. Please like and share.